The ultimatum. The final warning. Ambassador Elena Vasquez sat alone at the circular table in the center of Station Harmony's Grand Council chamber. The massive room stretched high above her, its crystalline walls reflecting the light from a dozen different suns. Around her, representatives from 43 alien species occupied elevated platforms, looking down at the single human representative like judges at a trial. Elena had been here for 6 months, trying to negotiate humanity's place in the Galactic Federation. Each day brought new demands, new restrictions, new ways the aliens wanted to control human expansion into space. Today felt different. Today felt final. High Counselor Thexera, the towering reptilian leader of the Zephyrian Empire, rose from his golden throne. His scales shimmered green and black as he spoke, his forked tongue tasting the air between words. The translation device around his neck turned his hissing speech into cold, precise English. Ambassador Vasquez, Thexera began, his yellow eyes fixed on Elena. Your species has had ample time to consider our generous terms. The Galactic Federation has shown remarkable patience with humanity's youthful enthusiasm. Elena remained silent, her hands folded calmly on the table. She had learned that interrupting was considered deeply offensive to most alien cultures. Better to let them speak their piece first. However, Thexera continued, patience has its limits. Your people continue to establish colonies without permission. Your military vessels patrol territories that do not belong to you. Your scientists conduct experiments that violate 17 different galactic safety protocols. Commander Corvish, a massive bear-like creature from the Brutok Confederation, slammed his armored fist against his platform's railing. The sound echoed through the chamber like thunder. Humans are dangerous, he roared through his translator. They breed too fast, expand too quickly, fight too eagerly. They will consume the galaxy if we allow it. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The graceful, bird-like Sirenites chirped their support. The crystalline Vorthan delegates chimed in harmony. Even the peaceful, plant-based Floraxians rustled their leaves in what Elena knew was their version of applause. Dr. Sarah Chen, Elena's scientific advisor, sat quietly in the human observation section. To anyone watching, she appeared to be taking notes on her tablet. In reality, she was recording everything through hidden sensors built into her clothing. Every word, every gesture, every alien expression was being captured and transmitted back to Earth through quantum communication channels the aliens didn't even know existed. Elena finally stood, her movement causing the chamber to fall silent. At 5 feet 6 inches, she was dwarfed by most of the alien representatives, but her presence commanded attention. High Counselor Thexera, Commander Corvish, honored delegates, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics. I have listened to your concerns for months. I understand your fears about human expansion. Fears? Commander Corvish laughed, a sound like grinding stone. We do not fear humans, Ambassador. We seek to protect the galaxy from your species' destructive nature. Elena smiled slightly. Of course. Forgive my poor choice of words. You seek to guide us. Precisely, Thexera said, settling back onto his throne. The Federation offers humanity a place among civilized species, but that place comes with responsibilities. The High Counselor activated a holographic display that filled the center of the chamber. Images of human colonies, military ships, and research stations appeared in brilliant detail. These are our terms, Thexera announced. Non-negotiable and final. The first hologram showed Earth surrounded by a glowing barrier. All human military vessels will be restricted to your home system. No exceptions. The second image displayed human colonies on dozens of worlds. All unauthorized human settlements will be evacuated immediately. Colonists will return to Earth or approved refugee planets. A third hologram showed human scientists working in laboratories. All human research will be overseen by Federation science councils. No experiments may proceed without approval from at least 3 different species. Elena watched each image appear, her expression carefully neutral. Inside, she felt a cold anger building. The final hologram showed Earth itself, now marked with Federation symbols and monitoring stations. All human communication networks will be integrated with Federation systems for proper oversight. All human educational curricula will be approved by cultural development committees. Commander Corvish stood again, his massive frame casting shadows across the chamber. These terms are generous beyond what your species deserves. Accept them, and humans may continue to exist under proper guidance. Refuse, refuse, added a new voice, and humanity will face quarantine. The speaker was Counselor Vexhai of the Synthetic Collective, a being of living metal and crystalline circuits. Complete isolation from galactic civilization until your species learns proper behavior. And if quarantine proves insufficient, Vexhai added, his tongue flicking out to taste Elena's reaction, the Federation will consider humanity a threat to galactic peace. Threats are eliminated. The chamber fell completely silent. 43 alien species waited for humanity's answer. Elena looked around the room slowly, meeting the eyes, sensors, and optical organs of every delegate. Some looked eager, anticipating human submission. Others appeared nervous, perhaps understanding that they were pushing a dangerous line. A few seemed almost sad, as if they regretted the necessity of what they were doing. I see, Elena said finally. So our choices are slavery or death, guidance or consequences, Vexhai corrected. The Federation does not practice slavery. Of course not, Elena replied. You simply want to control where we live, where we travel, what we research, how we communicate, and what we teach our children. But it's not slavery because you're calling it something else. Commander Corvish's fur bristled with anger. Your species is barely 50 years into space travel. We have been exploring the galaxy for millennia. You will show proper respect. Respect, Elena repeated slowly. Interesting concept. She reached into her jacket and pulled out a small device that looked like a simple recording unit. She placed it on the table and pressed a button. A soft blue light began to glow. Let the record show, Elena said, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber, that on this date, the Galactic Federation has demanded the complete surrender of human sovereignty. They have demanded that Earth surrender all rights of self-defense, self-governance, and self-determination. They have threatened humanity with extinction if we refuse to submit to their authority. Angry sounds filled the chamber. Alien delegates hissed, roared, chimed, and buzzed their outrage at Elena's characterization of their generous offer. Elena raised her voice above the noise. The United Earth government formally rejects these demands. We reject any authority the Galactic Federation claims over humanity. We withdraw from all treaties, all agreements, and all negotiations with this body. She picked up her recording device and looked directly at Vexhai. Humanity will govern itself. We will defend ourselves. We will explore the galaxy as free beings. This Federation has no power over us and never will. Elena turned toward the exit, Dr. Chen rising to follow. Behind them, the chamber erupted in chaos. Some delegates demanded Elena's immediate arrest. Others called for emergency military action against Earth. A few seemed stunned by humanity's defiant response. Vexhai's voice cut through the noise like a blade. Ambassador, you doom your entire species with this arrogance. No single world can stand against the combined might of 43 civilizations. Elena paused at the chamber doors and looked back one final time. High Counselor, I think you're about to learn something important about humanity. And what is that? Vexhai demanded. Elena smiled, and for the first time since entering the chamber, it was not diplomatic or polite. It was the smile of a predator who had been underestimated for far too long. You're about to learn what happens when you try to cage a species that conquered an entire planet before we even knew you existed. The doors sealed behind the human delegation with finality that seemed to echo through the chamber. For several long moments, no one spoke. Finally, Commander Corvesh broke the silence. Arrogant primitives. Our fleets will reduce their world to ash within a month. Yes, Thexera agreed, but something in his voice suggested uncertainty. Prepare Earth for quarantine. If they resist, we will show them the price of defying civilized authority. As the alien delegates began planning humanity's punishment, none of them noticed the small devices Dr. Chen had left behind. Devices that looked like simple dust particles, but were actually the most advanced surveillance technology humanity had ever created. Every word spoken in that chamber would be recorded and transmitted to Earth. The aliens believed they were planning a swift victory over a primitive species. They had no idea they had just declared war on the most dangerous predators the galaxy had ever seen. On Earth, President Maria Santos received Elena's transmission in her secure command bunker beneath the Atlantic Ocean. Around her, screens displayed information the aliens would have found impossible to believe. Hidden shipyards throughout the solar system, weapons that bent the laws of physics. Technologies reverse-engineered from alien equipment humanity had been quietly acquiring for decades. They took the bait. Elena's voice came through the quantum communicator. They revealed everything. Their fleet positions, their military capabilities, their political structure. They think we're helpless. President Santos smiled grimly. Then they're about to learn why humans are the only species to evolve from apex predators. Signal all commanders. Operation Prometheus is now active. In the depths of space, hidden among asteroids and behind planetary shields, human vessels began powering up systems the galaxy had never seen before. The real war was about to begin, and humanity intended to win it before their enemies even realized they were already dead. The negotiations were over. Now came the reckoning. The reckoning. The hunt begins. 3 weeks after the failed negotiations, Admiral Marcus Reed stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching through the viewports as the combined Galactic Federation fleet approached Earth. The alien armada was impressive. Over 2,000 ships from 43 different species, representing the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. To any observer, it would seem like overwhelming odds. 2,000 advanced alien warships against Earth's small primitive fleet. The aliens had plasma cannons that could melt continents, shield technology that could stop asteroid impacts, and faster-than-light drives that had been perfected across millennia. What they didn't know was that they were flying into the most sophisticated trap ever conceived by human minds. "Admiral," reported Commander Jackson from the sensor station, "Federation fleet is maintaining standard attack formation. They're broadcasting surrender demands on all frequencies." Reed nodded calmly. At 62 years old, he had spent his entire career preparing for this moment. While alien ambassadors had been demanding humanity's submission, human engineers had been working in secret facilities hidden throughout the solar system. What they had created would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. "Any response from their fleet when our defensive ships took positions?" Reed asked. "Negative, sir. They're treating our visible fleet as a minor obstacle. Intelligence suggests they plan to disable our ships and demand planetary surrender." Reed almost smiled. The Federation could see exactly what they expected to see. 40 human vessels, using technology only slightly more advanced than what Earth had possessed 50 years ago. Old-style fusion drives, primitive weapons, basic armor plating. To alien sensors, these ships looked like museum pieces. The aliens had no way of detecting the 300 stealth vessels that had been moving into position for weeks, ships built with technology so advanced that they existed partially outside normal spacetime. They couldn't see the quantum mines seeded throughout the asteroid belt, or the gravitational lenses hidden behind Jupiter's moons. Signal from President Santos. Commander Jackson announced, "Operation Prometheus is authorized. All units are weapons-free." Reed straightened in his command chair. "Signal Captain Foster. Begin Phase 1. Light years away, Captain Alex Foster received the order aboard the UES Shadow, a ship that technically didn't exist according to any official records. The Shadow was humanity's first true stealth vessel, capable of traveling undetected through hyperspace itself. Foster and his crew had spent the last month mapping every major alien military installation within 50 light-years of Earth. Supply depots, communication relays, fleet staging areas, all carefully cataloged and targeted. Engineering, status on the quantum torpedoes. Foster asked. All systems green, Captain. 48 warheads loaded and ready. Foster studied the tactical display showing the Zephyrian Empire's primary fleet anchorage at Kepler Station. Over 600 ships were docked there, along with millions of tons of ammunition and supplies meant to support the siege of Earth. Target their fuel depots first, Foster ordered. Then their communication arrays. I want them blind and stranded. The Shadow's quantum torpedoes were invisible to all known sensor technology, traveled faster than light, and delivered destruction on a scale that defied conventional physics. Each warhead contained a miniature black hole that would consume everything within a 5-kilometer radius before safely evaporating. The first torpedo struck Kepler Station's main fuel depot. For a brief moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then space itself seemed to fold inward, and the depot simply vanished, taking 3 docked cruisers with it. Alien defenders had no time to process what was happening before 11 more torpedoes struck critical targets throughout the station. Communication towers, weapons platforms, supply ships, and command centers disappeared into quantum singularities. Within minutes, the Federation's most important military base had been reduced to scattered debris and confused survivors. Back in the Sol system, High Counselor Thexera watched from the bridge of his flagship as Earth's pathetic defensive fleet moved to intercept his armada. The sight filled him with satisfaction. Soon, humanity would learn the price of defying galactic authority. Communications, Thexera ordered. Transmit final surrender terms to Earth. Signal sent, High Counselor. Shall we disable their defensive vessels? Carefully, Thexera replied. We want humans alive to witness their defeat. The Federation fleet opened fire with precise, measured volleys designed to disable rather than destroy human ships. Plasma beams struck human vessels, expecting to see shields collapse and hulls breach. Instead, something impossible happened. The human ships absorbed the plasma fire completely, their hulls glowing briefly before returning to normal. Not only were they undamaged, they seemed to be getting stronger. Report, Thexera demanded. High Counselor, our weapons appear to be ineffective. Human vessels are showing no damage. Thexera stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Increase power. Focus all batteries on a single target. The Federation fleet concentrated its fire on one human destroyer. Enough energy to vaporize a small moon struck the vessel in a continuous stream. The human ship not only survived, it began to glow with absorbed energy. Then it fired back. The human ship's single return shot was unlike anything in the Federation's experience. Instead of plasma or projectiles, it launched what appeared to be concentrated starlight. The beam struck a Brutok heavy cruiser and simply erased it from existence. No explosion, no debris. The massive warship was there one moment, and gone the next. Impossible, Commander Corvesh breathed from his own flagship. No known technology could. His words were cut off as space around the Federation fleet began to shimmer. Suddenly, 300 human vessels materialized as if stepping out of thin air. Each ship was sleek, predatory, and radiating power signatures that defied every law of physics the aliens thought they understood. Admiral Reed's voice cut across all Federation communication channels. Attention alien vessels, you came here expecting to find helpless prey. Instead, you have encountered Earth's children. We offer you one chance to withdraw from this system and never return. Thexera's scales turned pale green with rage. Primitive humans cannot possess such technology. This is some sort of trick. High Counselor, his sensor officer reported with trembling voice. Long-range communications are down. All our supply bases are under attack. Kepler Station. Kepler Station is gone. Gone. Thexera demanded. What do you mean gone? Destroyed, sir. Along with 17 other installations, we're receiving emergency signals from across Federation space. Human vessels are hitting our infrastructure faster than we can track them. Reed's voice came through the communications again, calm and implacable. You wanted to see what humanity was capable of. Allow me to demonstrate. The human fleet moved with precision that seemed choreographed. Ships that had been invisible moments before began targeting Federation vessels with weapons that bent reality itself. Gravity beams that crushed ships into neutron-dense spheres. Temporal disruption fields that aged enemy vessels to dust in seconds. Quantum entanglement weapons that destroyed ships by convincing the universe they had never existed. Commander Corvesh watched in horror as his elite Brutok fleet was systematically dismantled. These were ships that had conquered star systems, veterans of 100 battles. Against human technology, they were helpless as children. Retreat, Corvesh roared. All vessels retreat. But retreat was impossible. Human ships had surrounded the Federation fleet in a sphere of destruction. Every attempt to flee was blocked by vessels that moved faster than thought and struck with surgical precision. Thexera found his voice. Humans, we can negotiate. Terms can be discussed. Reed's laughter echoed across the communication channels. Now you want to negotiate. After threatening to exterminate our species. We were mistaken about human capabilities, Thexera admitted. The Federation acknowledges Earth's sovereignty. Too late, Reed replied. You had your chance for peace. You chose war instead. Now you'll learn why Earth's children are the galaxy's apex predators. On Earth, President Santos watched the battle from her command center. The main display showed Federation ships being systematically disabled or destroyed. Her military advisors had estimated the battle would last hours. Instead, it was over in minutes. Casualty report, Santos requested. 0 human losses, Madam President. Enemy fleet is 70% destroyed, 30% disabled. They've stopped fighting back. Santos nodded grimly. Open a channel to the Federation survivors. Her image appeared on every remaining alien ship. I am President Santos of the United Earth Government. Your fleets are broken. Your infrastructure is burning. Your supply lines are severed. You came here to enslave humanity. Instead, you've awakened something that should have remained sleeping. She paused, letting her words sink in. Here are Earth's terms. All Federation vessels will withdraw from human space immediately. All claims of authority over humanity are forever renounced. Any species that threatens Earth or its colonies will face complete annihilation. Thexera's voice came through weakly. And if we agree to these terms, then you live, Santos replied simply. Earth has no desire to rule the galaxy. We only want to be left alone to build our civilization in peace. Respect that wish, and you have nothing to fear from us. But if we refuse, Commander Corvesh asked. President Santos smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. Commander, take a look around you. Does it appear that you're in a position to refuse anything? Within hours, the surviving Federation ships were fleeing Sol system at maximum speed. Behind them, human vessels seemed to vanish back into empty space, leaving only the burning wreckage of what had once been the galaxy's most powerful fleet. News of humanity's victory spread through galactic civilization faster than light. Species that had ruled star systems for millennia suddenly found themselves looking over their shoulders, wondering if those quiet humans they had dismissed were watching them with predatory eyes. Trade routes that had been stable for centuries suddenly became uncertain. Alien governments that had been planning expansion campaigns began focusing on defense instead. The galaxy's entire power structure shifted overnight. On Station Harmony, the remnants of the Galactic Council met in emergency session. The magnificent chamber that had hosted Elena Vasquez's humiliation now felt cold and empty. How could we have been so wrong? Asked Councillor Vexai. Our intelligence indicated humans were barely space-capable. They wanted us to think that, Thexera replied, his scales still pale with shock. While we were debating how to control them, they were studying us, learning our weaknesses, planning our defeat. A new voice spoke from the chamber's entrance. Actually, we were hoping you'd be reasonable. The aliens turned to see Ambassador Elena Vasquez walking calmly into the chamber. She looked exactly as she had 3 weeks ago, but now her presence seemed to fill the massive room. Ambassador, Thexera said carefully, we were not expecting you to return. Elena took her seat at the central table as if nothing had changed. President Santos thought it would be polite to explain a few things. You see, you were right about one thing. Humanity is dangerous. But you were wrong about why. She activated a holographic display that showed human colonies throughout the galaxy. Not the few dozen the aliens knew about, but thousands of settlements that had been established in secret over decades. We're not dangerous because we're violent. Elena continued. We're dangerous because we're patient. While you were arguing about how to control us, we were already living among you. Human traders, human researchers, human diplomats, all quietly gathering information and preparing for the day you showed your true intentions. The hologram changed to show the true extent of human space-based industry. Shipyards hidden in asteroid belts, research stations camouflaged as space debris, weapons platforms that looked like ordinary satellites. You see, we knew this day would come, Elena said. We've been preparing for it since the day we met you. We offered friendship hoping you would accept it. When you chose dominance instead, we were ready. Thexera found his voice. What? What do you want from us now? Elena smiled, and this time it was genuinely warm. The same thing we always wanted. To be left alone to live our lives in peace. Earth has no interest in ruling the galaxy or destroying alien civilizations. We just want the right to exist as free beings. And if we agree to this, asked Commander Corvish, then we go back to being quiet neighbors who occasionally trade and share scientific discoveries, Elena replied. Humanity has no quarrel with species that respect our sovereignty. But if we don't agree, Vexhai asked. Elena's smile faded. Then you'll discover that what you saw at Earth was just a small demonstration. Humanity has been preparing for interstellar war for 50 years. We have weapons that could sterilize entire star systems and ships that could strike anywhere in the galaxy without warning. We really don't want to use them. The chamber fell silent as the aliens contemplated their new reality. The species they had dismissed as primitive newcomers were revealed as the galaxy's most dangerous predators, patient hunters who had been planning for this moment across decades. Finally, Thexera spoke. The Galactic Federation formally recognizes human sovereignty over all territories claimed by Earth. We renounce any authority over human affairs and pledge non-interference in human expansion. Elena nodded approvingly. That's a good start. I think we can build a proper relationship from here. As she prepared to leave, Elena paused at the chamber doors. Oh, and Counselor Thexera, next time you think about caging a species, you might want to make sure they're not the ones who built the cage. The doors sealed behind her, leaving the alien representatives to contemplate their new universe, one where humanity was no longer prey, but the apex predator they should have recognized from the beginning. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy slowly adapted to its new reality. Human ships began appearing on trade routes, no longer hiding their true capabilities. Human colonies expanded rapidly, protected by weapons that made even the boldest alien powers think twice about interference. And in the deep spaces between stars, human vessels continued their patient watch, ensuring that the galaxy's hard-learned lesson about respecting human freedom would never be forgotten. The age of human submission was over. The era of human strength had begun.